Good evening, Brave Nation. Welcome to another monthly Facebook live stream. We apologize for being a little bit late tonight. We're having some technology issues as we're joining in on Facebook Live. We will have some of our graphics not included tonight due to some technical difficulties. So just bear with us as we try to make sure the most important thing is that we're communicating with you and that you're getting to hear the news that we have for you. This is just one way that we've created for you to interact with me and with the district. We're so excited tonight. We have three very special guests that will be coming to spend some time with us so we can talk to them and get some information from them about their programs and some of the things that they're doing in the district. Tonight we're going to have Mr. Boyce come, the director of our Mighty Braves band. We'll also have Dustin Bland, our CHS head football coach, and Mr. Cooper Welch, who is our district communications supervisor, who is also leading the charge for our annual community Christmas effort. So tonight we're going to get started by talking to Mr. Boyce. So I'm going to scoot over. Mr. Boyce is going to roll in and talk to us a little bit. Mr. Boyce is the director of the CHS Mighty Braves band. Mr. Boyce and the rest of the band and all the other directors and help that you have in there had a wonderful, successful marching season this year. Qualified for the finals at the UIL area round for the third consecutive time.
Yes,
so, Mr. Boyce, tell us a little bit about the band, how many students are in there this year, and how has it changed over the years?
Okay, so as of now, we have 126 students in our high school band. We have been really big on retention, us and the middle school band directors. This past year, we had 94% retention with the students, 94% of those students coming to high school band from 8th grade year. And so that results to about 49 to 51 students that are in our high school band that are freshmen. So this next year, we are really striving to get that same number so our numbers can come up. We've also worked on getting more color guard students involved also. That increases our numbers, but also just the fellowship and getting those kids involved in our family knit atmosphere that we have going on. So.
Perfect. Well, I will say personally, I was thoroughly impressed with your performances each Friday night. That even my family that was there with me at the game, that was the excitement of waiting and getting to see you guys perform. It's very impressive on how much goes into those performances. So talk to us a little bit about a typical marching season. What does it look like? How do you prepare for those competitions? How many competitions do you have? Kind of give us a little bit of information.
So I'll start right now. We just got done with marching season. So we're getting ready for our Christmas concert. And so we've gotten out of the realm of football season and out of marching season. Now we're getting in the classroom and we're working on our concert instruments, which means that we're now working on our psychomotor skills, our cognitive skills, us working on how do I get better on my instrument so we can be ready for the future. So we have a concert as of right now. It's December 10th is our concert. It'll be in the auditorium at the high school. After that, we will start preparing for concert and sight reading. That will be in April. Our band is required to play a grade. There are 6 different grades. They're from 1 to 6. As a 4A school, we're required to play a grade 2 and a grade 3. We're playing grade 5 music.
Wow.
So we're playing what the 6As play. So we're trying to prepare those students to get ready for the next year. Our area is very difficult to compete in. Everybody that we competed against at area, they finished in the top 5 other than Wills Point at state marching contest. And so that's a big deal for us to work and strive and get these kids better. One other thing that we work hard at is the traits of a brave. A lot of times the kids can see success when it comes to what place did we get. How good do we do against this band? But it's a bigger thing of how are we getting better, how we becoming more of a family knit situation. What type of life lessons am I learning? Am I learning responsibility? Am I learning being on time? Am I learning holding other people accountable? Accountability is a big deal with our band program. So that's another thing that we work on, and we work on it during concert season with our concert and sight reading. We start with it at our middle school level. When our 8th grade band gets done performing at concert and sight reading at UIL, we start working on marching season. And so before those 8th graders actually become high school students, we're working on how do I march?
Right.
What do I need to be playing? What techniques do I need to be playing so then when we come to the high school level, we can compete and get better every year, but not stay stagnant, not stay consistent, but we need to elevate. And it comes back to those traits of the grade. When we get through our the summer, we start summer around July, the end of July. We'll go through the end of July. August, we can start working on our actual show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring people in to actually design the show. I write the music. I've written the music for the past 3 years for our marching band. So it's been a blessing because I know the kids' strengths and weaknesses, and I also know what these kids need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
We push through. We correlate with the dance group. We correlate with the athletics department. We correlate with everybody, and then from then on there is work.
You like a challenge. I know that because I came to rehearsals the week of area competition, and you were adding more complexity
Yes.
and more challenge to
Yes.
your show the
Yeah.
week of competition. So I really admire that. That says a lot about the expectations you have for our kids and what you expect them to
Yeah.
do when they get on the field. So congratulations to you for that. So they start early, just like the football team does, in
cool.
preparing, and it's a big season for them as well. So we're super excited about that. I'm, like I said, continually impressed with that. We've talked about many competitions that they have, things they're preparing for now. You mentioned the Christmas concert.
Mhm.
So if somebody wants to go to the Christmas concert, do they need to buy tickets? They just show up? What time is it?
Yes. As of right now, our Christmas concert's at 6:30.
Okay.
You don't have to buy any tickets to come in. Our big thing, and the one thing that I want to make apparent, is that our concerts,
Mhm.
our band concerts, I want them to be bigger than just coming in and listening to music. Last year we had a spring concert and we did a Star Wars show.
Oh.
We had kids dressed up as Darth Vader, and we had all kind of things going on, and the community got a kick out of it.
So don't miss the concert because
Do
you
not.
might miss some surprises, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So if I have a student who wants to become a member of the band because it's a great organization to be a part of,
Mhm.
what do they need to do to become part of the band?
All right. Well, I will say, when it comes to being on an instrument, a lot of that comes back to being in beginner band. We start those students in 6th grade. We start them in 7th grade also. A lot of students have said that, I didn't start in 6th grade. What can I do to get in band? This year we have 12 students that are 7th graders that are want to be in beginner band and want to get involved in our program. And that's a big deal. At the high school level, when it comes to being on the instrument, it's a little bit more difficult. But we really, really work hard, especially with Mr. Fitzwater and Ms. Pruden. Ms. Pruden is the color guard instructor.
Okay.
We need as many color guard students as possible. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll walk in the hallways and I'll see a student. I say, "Hey, what are you involved in?"
Great.
If they let me know what they're involved, I say, "Why don't you come join color guard?" And so I'm trying to recruit, and it's much more than just getting numbers. I'm wanting these kids to be and these students to be part of something.
Sure.
And I asked them also, are you part of athletics? Are you part of something else? And so we're just trying to get in any and everybody and get them engaged.
So give them that opportunity to have to
Definitely.
be a part of something and
Exactly.
be proud of something. That's
Exactly.
awesome.
When it comes to playing the instrument, a lot of that comes to being starting 6th grade, 7th grade year. But when it comes to percussion also, Mr. Fitzwater has been really good for bringing students in that have had some background in percussion. Bring them in, try them out. And if they can cut it with him, because he's really, really, really good,
Mhm.
then bring them on in, and we work them into the system, and they've been a blessing for the students that we have. So,
Awesome. Well, one more time before you scoot out of here, repeat for us the concert date and time so that we can make sure we have a packed house for
Okay.
that concert.
we have our Christmas concert, or our winter concert. It will be on December 10th. It will be on that Friday. As of right now, we have it at 6:30. And I will send out information to the administration, to the high school administration, if that ever changes. But we have a concert at 6:30 on the December 10th.
In the auditorium.
In the auditorium.
Okay,
We
and-
also, sorry.
No, we would make sure that we know that, and we'll make sure that our communication department's blasting that out and getting as
Definitely.
many people there as we can get.
Definitely. The following week, we have our 6th grade and our middle school concerts.
That's good.
Our middle school concert will be on that following Tuesday. That is a really big deal also because those students are preparing and getting ready for high school band, and they're working just as hard as the high school students.
Great.
So.
Well, I think what we can do is if you provide that information for us, we'll make sure we post that on our Facebook and make sure those dates and times are all out there
Yes,
so
ma'am.
people can come. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you, ma'am.
We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all your hard work and everything you're doing.
Yes,
So we're
ma'am.
super proud of the band.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Okay, we're gonna do a quick little information thing for you before we move on to talk to Coach Bland. I want to just remind everybody that we do have this week our second long-range facility planning meeting on Thursday night. I encourage all of you to come and be a part of this committee. It will be at 6:30 in the high school cafeteria on Thursday, November the 18th. This is the meeting where we're really going to have a lot of fun and sitting down and talking about what are the needs in our district. The first meeting, we spent a lot of time looking at what numbers are coming in, what the demographer's report said, and kind of what we're up against and getting prepared for the next 10 years. And so this next meeting tomorrow night will be to sit down and talk about what do we need in this district? What buildings do we need? What facilities? What programs? So we would love to have as many voices at the table as we can get. So we encourage you to come, be a part of that committee. It doesn't matter if you weren't here at the first one. Come tomorrow night and be a part of this. We want your voice there. We want to hear your ideas, and we want you to be a part of the discussion as we move forward. We will have 2 more meetings after this meeting to continue to get input from the community. So please join us tomorrow night at 6:30 in the high school cafeteria. We're going to move on now and talk to Coach Bland. I'm going to scoot over a little bit so he can roll in here and talk to us a little bit. Our second guest tonight that we have is Mr. Dustin Bland, and Coach Bland is our head coach of our CHS Braves football team. We're so proud of them. Congratulations on another wonderful season, Coach. Last season, the Braves earned their first bi-district win since 2008, and then this year we were right off into playoffs again. So super proud of you guys. Just like I told, in looking at the band stuff, we have something that keeps our fans seated for the entire game. They don't want to miss anything because there's all kinds of great plays happening on the field, and then we don't want to get up and move around during halftime because the band's doing a great performance too. So get your food and drink early because it's a great entertainment for Friday night. So we lost to a pretty tough team, Glen Rose football team in the bi-district round. 6 days later, are you feeling recovered from that? Are you getting over that?
Well, us coaches, we have a hard time getting over those last games, and especially, you just think about all the different things that could have went differently and stuff. That's just part of it. The one thing that I have no regrets about, or any bad feelings, is the way our kids approached the game and how they fought, and they gave it everything they had. Glen Rose is a great football team. They had averaged 47 points a game, and really we gave up 1 legitimate touchdown and blocked 3 kicks, and just came up a little short on offense that night. And it happens that way sometimes, but just very proud of the kids.
It was a great defensive effort by our Braves for sure. So it's been a great season beyond just that one game. So tell me what has really impressed you about this season. What have our Braves done on that field this season that's been an impressive thing?
Just a variety of kids stepping up in different spots, just the adversity you deal with over the course of the season, whether it's injuries or whatever may come up, it's always that next man up mentality, and just seeing kids embrace the process that we have in place, and whenever their opportunity arises, stepping up and shining on the field, it's something you always appreciate as a coach. And we want as many kids in our program as possible. We want to develop as many kids as we possibly can, and get as many kids playing. And it's just great when you see so many contributors. We weren't a team that you could point at and say, hey, there's this one guy that makes it go or whatever. We were truly a team, and that's something as a coach to be proud of.
again, those life lessons that kids learn about being a part of something special, something good. So appreciate you and your leadership with doing that. You had a real special group of seniors this year, so I know that those are guys you're going to miss this year. Can you talk a little bit about what those seniors contributed?
Oh wow, they contributed so much. You know, we're going to lose 12 guys. You know, it wasn't a huge senior class, but you know, they brought a lot of leadership, and they worked so hard. And you know, we're just kind of miss those guys. You know, guys like, you know, I can name them all, but you know, the leadership of like a Josh Cano, and just all the work that he put in the weight room, and Chauncey Cheedy, and you know, a Cooper, a Walker, and just knowing all the countless hours that those guys dedicated to preparing for this season, and preparing for something bigger than themselves. Just appreciate all those guys. And one of the things that I told them is we're going to take this year and their contributions and move forward, and whenever they come back several years from now, they're going to see what we've built, and they're going to know that they were a part of making that happen.
Laid some groundwork for great things to come in the future. So talking about that, you're starting to think now for next year. So what do you think you've got coming back? What excites you about planning for next year? What's your team going to look like?
We're extremely excited about next year. You know, it's amazing how quickly you kind of have to change focus, because when we get back from Thanksgiving, we're going to hit the ground running, and you know, we're starting next season. We have a lot of juniors coming back next year that have really played since their freshman year, a really good group, and we're just excited about what those guys are going to do in terms of leadership, taking over the team, and having their opportunity to put their stamp on it, you know, and we're just ready to hit the ground running and put in a lot of hard work. And the season starts now. Games aren't won in August and September. You know, games are won when nobody's watching. You know, and that's something that we'll talk to our kids about is, you know, participating in second sports. You know, we're really big in powerlifting and track, and obviously if kids participate in other sports, as long as they're competing, we're all about it. You know. But you know, our kids, that they don't specialize in just football. We make sure that we keep those guys going year round, and ultimately, you know, that's going to pay dividends when we come back to the fall as well.
Right. I want to just tell you thank you for your leadership on the field. I've only been here 3 months, so I'm just getting to know you and what's going on in that program, but I've been thoroughly impressed with what the program that you run and the way that you treat those kids and your assistant coaches, and so very impressed with that, and wish you luck in getting ready and preparing for next year.
Well, thank you so much.
Right.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, thanks.
Go Braves.
All right, go Braves. We're going to shift gears a little bit now and talk a little bit about some new leadership that we have at the district level. I wanted to introduce these people to you tonight. We actually had their pictures for you, but our graphics are again not working tonight, so I'm just going to tell you their names, and as we move forward, we'll make sure that their pictures get out there and you get to meet these people. When I came in 3 months ago, I had 3 of our top administrative positions became vacant very quickly, and so I've been working on trying to get those filled over the last 3 months, and so I'm very excited to say that we have moved forward and filled those 3 positions, and then we've also added an additional administrator at the central office. So our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and that position was filled by Mr. Brian Ladd. Mr. Ladd has been here in the district for about a month. We're super excited about him being here. He and his family are planning a big move in the next week to 2 weeks. And so we'll have his children starting the district as well very soon. This past Monday night, we also hired Mr. Nathan Heflin. Mr. Heflin will be joining us as the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Operations. We're excited for him to be coming into the district as well. His wife is also going to be working in the district, and then his children will be coming in the move as well. We have Alicia Coonrod. Ms. Coonrod will be coming on as our Chief Financial Officer, so we're excited about getting her in the district. She and Mr. Heflin will both be starting their positions in January, so we have a couple more months to make it with those positions being open, but we are very excited about getting this team built, people who care about kids, who have a heart for education. I think it's going to be a very exciting time. And then our last administrator that I wanted to introduce you to is Mallory Scott. Ms. Scott will be serving as our Director of Health Services as we continue to grow our nurses on all of our campuses are becoming overwhelmed with the requirements that we have, also with dealing with COVID and COVID testing and all of the things that we are now required to report to the state. Our nurses have been very overworked over the last few months, and so we're bringing in some help for them, some leadership for them, so that we can help with those tasks that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So all of these people will be coming in. Mr. Ladd is already here, but the other three will be joining us in January, and I encourage you to get to know them, come meet them. They're wonderful people, and we're excited about them becoming part of Brave Nation. So our third guest that we have with us tonight is Mr. Cooper Welch. Mr. Welch is our communications supervisor, and tonight he is going to talk to us a little bit about Community Christmas and tell us a little bit about how that program started, where are we at in that program, and give us some information that we can share with the community.
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, it's really nice to be on this side of the camera for once. Usually I'm behind the scenes with Chris. So Community Christmas got started in 2017. It was a partnership between the district and FBC Blann when it started. And that first year they had about 150 kids that they supported. This next year, in 2018, they supported about 200 and a couple more churches came in, and then it's grown steadily since then. My first year in the district was last year, and in my first year we supported, thanks to some incredibly generous support from the district and from businesses, from the cities of Lavon, Nevada, and Josephine, 350 kids. So the need has grown, financial assistance needs have grown with our school population. Along with the gifts that we gave each year, last year we also added a food drive where every family got enough food to feed them for a whole week during Christmas break. And the Linus Project, which is just down the road in the old Nevada High School gym, they gave a blanket for every single kid. So we're bringing all that back this year, and there are, this year, the list is finalized and closed, 472 kids to support. So we have seen the need continue to grow, along with the explosion in enrollment we had over the summer. We also have seen a huge explosion in the amount of financial assistance people need.
So you've told us kind of how it started and what's happened over the last couple of years. If we have, what's our total for this year?
472.
472, and of that, how many do we have that have not been sponsored or that we still have out there?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we are very blessed that of those 472, 400 have already been funded. So the churches have once again come in and partnered in an amazing way. We've also had several staff members, tons of community ISD parents that have volunteered, that have seen our requests for help with this
What
year.
a testament that is to the people of this district and this area. I'm so excited about that. So if there are still people out there that really want to step up and help, and we still have several students that haven't been sponsored,
Yes, ma'am.
what do they need to do to jump in here and be a part of this and be able to help some kids this Christmas?
Absolutely. So we have about 70 kids left on the list right now. And just to explain what those kids will be getting, each kid gets we ask for a read or education item, a need, which is, something physical like clothing or shoes, and a want, which is
The fun stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff. That's a great description. All three of those gifts total add up to it's capped at $100. So
Okay.
per student, we ask people to spend $100, and that is not because we want to limit your generosity. That's because we want to make sure that every student gets the same or roughly the same gifts on Christmas Day. We wouldn't want one kid to get a bike and a Nintendo Switch and the other kid get 2 gift cards.
So each kid, if I were to sponsor 2 kids, I would be capped at $200. I'd spend $100 on each child. And so if I go and I sponsor a child, what do I do with the stuff, and how do I bring it back, and do I wrap it up for you? What do I do with that?
So the first thing you'll do is you'll shoot me an email at info@communityisd.org, or you can call us at 972-843-6000. That will let me know that you're interested in sponsoring a kid. We will then ask you how many kids you can sponsor. Oftentimes we have people ask, how can I adopt a family? We are more than happy to give you a family if you want one, but we've got families with 1 kid and we've got families with 8 kids. So it's better to tell us how many kids you can support, and that way we can know exactly what to assign you. Once we know how many kids you can support, we then give you a little Excel sheet that says the family number, which is, there's 181 families, so you'll get number 1 through 181, and then however many kids you have, 181-1 would be that kid. And then it'll have their age and their gender and then their read, need, and want. So that's what you'll get from us. We ask you that you buy either what's on their requested items or something similar, as long as it's in that $100 cap, and then bring those gifts unwrapped to the Terry Pope Administration Building, which is connected to the old Edge Building, or McClendon North. If you'll bring it to the front desk, Miss Terry Robles will take the gifts from you, and they will be securely stored in the distribution location, which we will announce at a later date.
Okay, so can you explain to us why we want those unwrapped? Why do we want them to bring?
Right, it is twofold. The first reason why we ask for them to be unwrapped is we want to make sure that what has been turned in is what we give out. And it's easier to keep track of things if they're unwrapped, and we can look at it and say, okay, this is a gift card for this person. We still want you to label it and say, this is for 181-1. If you can label it clearly when you turn it in, that is great. The second reason we ask for it to be unwrapped is so the parents can participate. So they can wrap those gifts themselves and put their own special
excitement for
touch.
them as well,
Yes,
to be able to be a part of the process.
Exactly.
So, great, and then you mentioned the food bank, so we're doing that as well this year?
Yes, ma'am. Last year, Neesmith Elementary did a Herculean effort to do that entire food drive for 350 kids themselves. And this year, they asked, and we were very happy to help out, that all 4 campuses participated.
Okay.
So the high school and the middle school are currently doing the food drives, and you can ask your campus principal more about that.
Okay.
But the elementary schools will do their food drive in 1 week-long push right before the end of the school year. I think it's November 29th through December 3rd. So that will be when Neesmith and McClendon will be accepting food. And all of that food will also be stored at the distribution center. And we will have the blankets from the Linus Project this year as well.
Okay, great. So we had a question come in just then from Ms. Hedge about needing volunteers to wrap gifts, but it sounds like we let the parents actually wrap the gifts. So
Yes,
we will give wrapping paper and the presents to the parents, and then they're able to have a little bit of fun with it and feel excited about those gifts as well.
Yes.
And maybe also make sure that it's even among their children and their family and everybody's.
Yeah. The final decision of what to do with the gifts is, of course, the parents. So if they want to take, one kid got some really amazing gifts, but the other kid did not, you can redistribute them however you want. Once we give those gifts to you, you guys do whatever you want.
Okay.
And yes, we do ask them to be unwrapped, as we talked about earlier, but we also ask that you bring a roll of wrapping paper or bags and tissue paper, or anything you can, because we want to make sure that parents don't have to go out and take care of that themselves.
Right, they don't have to buy that stuff.
Exactly.
So great. So more information, they can contact you on info@Community ISD, or they can give us a call up here and we'll be able to answer any questions that they
Yes,
have
ma'am.
on that. Okay, awesome. So we'll give a chance for some more questions if we have any coming in. Thank you for your efforts with
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
We
Thank you.
appreciate what you're doing.
I enjoy it.
And working with our community. So I want to just kind of end this time before we get into questions with just reminding you of some things that are going on. One thing that I want you to know, as coming from me as a superintendent, is that I value your voice, I value your opinion, I want your input. And so we have several committees that are going on right now that I would love for you to be a part of. I mentioned earlier the Long Range Planning Committee. Again, that committee meets tomorrow night at 6:30, so please come to that if you can. I've also put together a superintendent input committee. This committee is made up of staff members. We currently have 48 staff members that are going to meet with me monthly to give input and talk about the district and the campuses, and just give me a real direct touch to all of our employees and what morale is going to look like and what the culture is in our district. And so we'll continue to do that committee. We also are going to start a new committee, and I really want to reach out to parents, and I want people to help spread the word about this committee. We're going to call the committee the Community for Community Committee, and the reason we named it that is that we want to reach out to our community to get input on the decisions that Community ISD is going to be making in the near future. And so we'll start those meetings in January. We're asking for parents, community members, students, and staff to be a part of that committee. That committee will address things like dress code, calendar, our discipline system, our transportation system. As we continue to grow, we're really going to have to make some adjustments. I'll give you an example. We run a 2-tiered transportation system right now where we have an elementary time and a secondary time. Our buses are beginning to get very overcrowded, and we're going to have to switch at some point to a 3-tiered system. And so we really want to get some feedback from parents and the community about how we put those things in place as far as timing is concerned. That will also lead into a discussion about the length of our school day, how many minutes we're required to get by the state, and then how those minutes translate into what our calendar looks like for next year. So really want to get some feedback and some input from our community before we start making those decisions. We like to make those decisions in the spring so that when your children leave here for the summer, you know what the dress code is, you know what the schedule is, and you know what the calendar looks like for the coming year. So we'll start working on that. You will get information about that. We'll start putting out ways that you can sign up for that, ways that you can be a part of that. So please watch for that. January is when you should see information about that. We also have another committee that is really gearing up right now. It's going to be a quick turnaround on this committee, but we need a facility naming committee. We have the current building that we're in, the old Edge building, that needs to be renamed, and then we also have our elementary number 3 that needs to be named. And so we're asking for a committee. The board has asked a committee to be put together, and that committee will be made up of former students or former staff members of Community ISD. And so if you know someone that is either an alumni or a former staff member and want to be a part of that, they need to contact Mr. Welch here in the district and let them know they want to be a part of that committee. That committee will then move forward with getting applications for others bringing ideas of names to the district, and then we'll decide what recommendation they're going to make to the board in January on what the names of those facilities will be called. It looks like with our capacity issues, there could be a possibility of this committee staying together for some time as we continue to look at names of facilities, and we look to see what the board's going to do with what that process is going to look like in the future. Then we have another committee that I think is really important. As we start to grow, one of the concerns that we have all talked about is the fact that we want to keep that small town feel, that we want to keep the traditions going, we want to keep that those underlying braids things that we do. We don't want to lose that as we continue to grow. And so we've put together a traditions committee. And so Mr. Welch also has information about that, and that will be posted for anyone that wants to be a part of that. But in that, we just want people to come and be a part of those things we want to hold on to, and make sure that they are very observed traditions and that we don't lose those as we begin to grow in this area. So we're going to move forward with questions right now. Any questions that anybody has for any of our guests, or for me as a superintendent, or for the district, we would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Chris, do we have any questions right now?
No, ma'am. So far, we have answered the questions that have already been asked.
Okay.
So we are all caught up to this point, but certainly welcome any additional questions over the next couple of minutes.
Okay. And remember that we still have Coach Blann and Mr. Boyce and Mr. Welch in the room. So if you have specific questions for any of them, we would be able to bring them back over and let them get on screen and answer any questions that you have there.
Well, those who know what I do for a side job, I can ask questions to Mr. Bland for as long as we need. We can talk football, and certainly we can get back into my days as a first chair tuba back in the day as well, if we want to go that direction.
I think either one of these guys, if we got them going, could probably sit here all night and talk about their respective programs and how excited they are about those programs. We're just as excited about that. So anything coming in, guys, we encourage you. This is a time for you to ask us anything, to bring up any comments or input that you want the district to have. We really want a connection with you. And so anything that you have to add, we would greatly appreciate it at this time.
Well, as of now, we have 23 shy people, but we can bring in Mr. Bland. I think one of the questions that a lot of people are going to be having coming up is about the redistricting and realignment
Sure.
in UIL. And right now, I know we have our snapshot number and how that might affect the Braves athletically and really in everything. But I think the biggest thing people look to is 4A, D2, or D1, and how that's going to affect potentially what you guys have going forward.
Absolutely, that's the big question we're looking at as we approach February. Is we know that we're going to be on either side of that line. We're either going to be one of the biggest schools in 4A Division II, or we're going to be one of the smallest schools in 4A Division I. So the thing about it is, though, we know that our kids and the way they operate, they're going to be ready to compete whatever level that we're going to play on, and that's the way we're going to prepare. Just everybody's just kind of chomping at the bit to try to get any kind of information that we can get, and maybe a peek ahead, and just connections and stuff like that. Hey, what do you think is going to happen here? Is there a possibility that we're going to stay a couple more years for Division II? Because obviously our growth is happening very quickly, as you guys just talked about, with all the different things we have going on. But obviously that's going to have a big effect on athletics, and I think we're going to be ready to adapt regardless of what happens. We'll be ready to compete at any level.
So there are guys out there that follow that, guys and girls that follow that all the way up to February with guesses on which side we're going to fall on that. So just so we give them a little bit of information, you want to share what number we turned in for our high school? Yes,
889. So from the, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And one of the longest running prognosticators in Texas high school football is the Padilla poll, and the projection number was actually 899. The 900 was going to be the cutoff. So we're right there on that line, looking at the projections, but you never really know. So usually the numbers bump at least 20 every realignment, and that would put us kind of in line where we're okay. We're on the big end of 4A Division II, but who really knows? You always have those head scratchers whenever you get around to realignment every couple of years, where you're like, wow, we weren't expecting that. So we just have to be ready to adapt to whatever comes.
Right. And going into that, people think those numbers just stop, but they wait till February because they look at all those numbers, and there's so much growth across the state.
Absolutely.
that they have to rearrange those numbers so that things equal out.
Yeah, there's so many interesting things with different districts that petition to stay up, or vice versa, and those dominoes fall and they affect everybody else around the state. So just looking at neighboring districts like Garland ISD, they'll always have a couple of schools that will petition to stay up and play at a higher level so they can all stay together and stuff like that. But that affects other people, and those dominoes just continue to fall. So it's always interesting to follow, and I definitely have my ear to the ground, and I'm looking for every bit of information that I can get. It will affect our scheduling next year. We already are kind of aligning our non-district schedule. We got some things lined up, but at the end of the day, we're trying to also keep in mind that we may not be in the same district next year. There might be some traditional opponents that we might want to play in non-district and stuff like that. So just trying to keep a little bit of cushion there, so if we have to make some adjustments, and we've been in a 16 district, you never know, you might get moved to a 17 district. So just so many different things can happen.
So give us that date in February that everybody's going to be waiting on.
Oh gosh, we're looking at the February second week in February, Chris, is that correct?
I'm trying to find you an exact date right now.
Yeah. We get kind of locked up between February is a big time because obviously we have National Signing Day, and we have realignment. So we'll all be waiting to see what UIL lays out for us.
I can't find it on the UIL website right now, but yeah, when we get closer, that's definitely
Yeah.
going to be a big topic of conversation.
I don't think we've been given the exact date just yet.
Just February.
Yes.
All right, well, we will be waiting to hear that number, so we know what we're
Absolutely.
gonna do, so. All right, I guess I, could add to that, while we're just kind of waiting to see if there are any more questions. Three of our big points on our long-range planning committee, and something that you guys probably should all hear, whether you were part of that committee or not, is that over the next 5 years, our district's going to see 7,500 homes come into our district. All of our buildings are going to be over capacity within that, within 2 years. And so we are really looking to get your input and become part of what our plans are going to be. We want to try to get ahead of some of this growth. I think the question in the past sometimes has been whether it's coming or not, or whether it's going to be allowed to come or not, and I don't think that's a question anymore. It's here. We're seeing that daily as our enrollment increases every day. So we really want to encourage you to come and let your voice be heard, be a part of this process. This is an exciting time for our district to have an impact on more and more kids, and so we want you to be a part of this exciting time and a part of this process. Any questions, Chris, that have come in?
One more
Okay.
from Mr. John Kell. We're talking about committees. He has an idea to start a foster child family support committee, which obviously would benefit a lot of young people in our district.
Okay, we will have a discussion about that and talk about that. I know we have a couple of people in the district who are working on a mentor program, which is a little different than that, but I do think that we could get some of those kids involved in that mentor program that would help. But we definitely will reach out and kind of do some research on how many foster students we have in the district and what we can do to support that group. We want to do everything that we can to support that group. So we'll get some information together, great idea, and see what we can pull together. If you can kind of provide your, what's the name again,
Mr.
Chris?
Kell.
Okay, if you can provide your information, your contact information, and that way we have a way to reach you, an email address or something, some way that we can get in touch with you as we look into that.
And we did track down an exact date for when the new districts will be released by the UIL, and that'll be February 3rd.
February 3rd, we'll all be on the edge of our seat waiting to hear those numbers. So, any other questions coming in?
No, ma'am. I think we're clear for the evening. Answered some questions and got a lot of good information.
Okay. Well, we encourage you to check back in with us next month for our Facebook Live. We'll have our graphics back going, and we'll have some more guests here for you to hear from in our district, and then we'll also be able to answer some questions. So if I can ever do anything to assist you or to answer questions for you or help support you as a parent or community member, please feel free to reach out to me. My door is open, and I will work around a schedule to make sure that I have time to meet with anyone who wants to sit down and have a conversation. So have a wonderful evening. We appreciate all of you. Go Braves.